Title: Conquering the Shadows, A Dance with Fear and Death. In a small, tranquil village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a man named Samuel. He was known throughout the village as a wise and compassionate soul. Samuel had a deep connection with nature and a profound understanding of the human spirit. However, he harbored a secret that had haunted him for years, a crippling fear of death. As a child, Samuel had witnessed the passing of his beloved grandfather. The image of his grandfather's frail form fading away had etched an indelible mark on his young mind. Since then, the fear of death had lurked in the corners of his consciousness, casting a shadow over his life. Despite his fear, Samuel had a gift for helping others. He often sat with the elderly, comforting them in their final moments. He would listen to their stories, their regrets, and their hopes, offering solace and companionship. His presence brought immense comfort to the dying, but the fear of his own mortality remained. One day, word spread through the village of a mysterious hermit who lived deep within the forest. It was said that this hermit possessed ancient wisdom and could help those who sought to conquer their deepest fears. Samuel, desperate to free himself from the shackles of his fear, decided to seek out the hermit. The journey through the dense forest was arduous, filled with unknown dangers and challenges. Samuel's heart raced with trepidation as he ventured deeper into the wilderness. Fear whispered in his ear, taunting him with images of his own death. Finally, he arrived at the hermit's secluded dwelling. The hermit, an old woman with eyes that held the secrets of the universe, welcomed Samuel. He poured out his soul, confessing his paralyzing fear of death. The hermit listened intently and then spoke in a voice that carried the weight of centuries of wisdom. "Fear and death are inseparable companions on the journey of life," she said. "To conquer your fear of death, you must first embrace the essence of life." Under the hermit's guidance, Samuel began a transformative journey. He learned to appreciate the beauty of each passing moment, to savor the sweetness of life's fleeting joys, and to find solace in the cycle of existence. He discovered that death was not an end but a part of the eternal circle of nature. Years passed, and Samuel returned to his village, a changed man. His fear of death had transformed into a deep reverence for life. He shared his newfound wisdom with his fellow villagers, guiding them to live fearlessly and fully. Samuel's legacy endured long after his passing. His story served as a beacon of hope for generations, reminding them that fear and death were not to be feared but embraced as part of the intricate dance of life. Fear is a universal emotion, one that can grip even the bravest of souls. And, at the heart of many fears, lies the ultimate unknown, death. The fear of death is as old as humanity itself, an ever-present shadow lurking in the recesses of our minds. But what happens when one confronts this fear head-on, when they embark on a journey to understand and conquer it? In the picturesque village where Samuel resided, death was viewed with a mixture of reverence and dread. It was an inevitable part of life, yet it held an enigmatic quality that sent shivers down the spines of the villagers. Samuel, with his deep connection to nature and his unwavering compassion, was a well-respected figure in the village. Little did they know that he carried a heavy burden within his heart, a paralyzing fear of death. The genesis of Samuel's fear could be traced back to his childhood. It was during those tender years that he had the profound misfortune of witnessing the passing of his beloved grandfather. The once vibrant and wise patriarch of the family had withered away, his life force gradually fading until he became a mere whisper of his former self. The memory of that transformation, from robust health to frailty, from animated stories to hushed breaths, had etched itself into Samuel's impressionable young mind. Since that fateful day, Samuel could never shake off the haunting images of his grandfather's final moments. He became acutely aware of his own mortality, a realization that cast a long, dark shadow over his existence. As he grew older, the fear of death became an ever-present companion, lurking in the recesses of his consciousness. It was a fear that would affect every aspect of his life, from the choices he made to the dreams he dared to pursue. Despite the weight of his own fear, Samuel possessed an extraordinary gift, a deep well of compassion and an innate ability to connect with others on a profound level. His empathy knew no bounds, and he had an uncanny knack for comforting those who were nearing the end of their journey. It was as if he could sense the fear and uncertainty that gripped their hearts, and with a gentle presence and a listening ear, he could bring solace to their troubled souls. The elderly of the village often sought Samuel's company in their final moments. He would sit by their bedside, holding their frail hands, and he would listen. He listened to their stories, their regrets, and their hopes. He offered them not just companionship but a chance to unburden their hearts before crossing the threshold of the great unknown. His presence, it seemed, had the power to ease their transition, to make the fear of death a little less daunting. But for all the comfort he brought to others, Samuel could not find solace for himself. The fear of his own mortality remained, a constant specter that cast doubt upon his every action. It was a fear that held him back from fully embracing life, from taking risks, and from pursuing his own dreams and desires. He was trapped in a paradox. The very compassion that made him a source of comfort for others also made him acutely aware of his own vulnerability. One fateful day, as the village gathered in the town square for a seasonal festival, a rumor swept through the crowd like wildfire. It was whispered that a mysterious hermit, a sage of ancient wisdom, resided deep within the heart of the nearby forest. This hermit, it was said, possessed knowledge that could help individuals conquer their deepest fears. For Samuel, this was a sign, a glimmer of hope in the darkness that had enveloped his life. With determination burning in his heart, Samuel made the life-altering decision to seek out the hermit in the forest. He felt a deep yearning to confront his fear, to understand it, and, if possible, to conquer it. He bid farewell to the village and set off on a journey into the unknown, into the heart of the forest that had always been a source of mystery and wonder. The journey was not for the faint of heart. The forest was dense and teeming with life, both beautiful and treacherous. The path was filled with twists and turns, and Samuel encountered challenges he had never imagined. Fear whispered in his ear, taunting him at every step. It conjured images of his own death, vivid and terrifying. It reminded him of the fragility of life, the inevitability of decay, and the uncertainty of what lay beyond. Yet, Samuel pressed on. He was driven by a determination that bordered on desperation. He had come too far to turn back now. The forest seemed